Well, good evening, everyone. We got us. She was just telling me that was perfect.
How do you get here?
Yeah. Hello. Yep. Thank you. Good evening. Is that better? Yeah. Well, good evening, everyone. It's nice to have such a big crowd here tonight, and it's a pleasure to see the families here with the kids, and we're looking forward to a little presentation they're going to do for us tonight. So I'll start the meeting off like we normally do, and then we'll get at it. So I'll call the meeting to order at 6:05. And first of all, we'll have our territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land, and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation, with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the township of Allen-McCalderman is located on the Mississaugan-Ashanimbic territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan-Ashanimbic. The township of Allen-McCalderman respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and the integrity for generations to come. And I think we'll get right on to our presentation. But before we do that, I'd just like to introduce our town crier. Anybody who doesn't know him, this is Liam Craig. And if you're ready, Liam, go ahead. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. Today we the concept displayed confidence at the end of the English language. Your invitation to recreate that magic in council chambers is high. Ready. Thank you to the students who entered the competition. Speaking as a judge, you got a reaction from everyone who heard you. Be it smiles, deep thought, or newly nuclear topics.
Your speeches had an impact on us. May your oratory endeavors continue for years to come. Thank you, members of the Legion, for organizing and promoting public speaking as skilled as it is needed today. And now we close with a salute to our monarch. God save the king.
God save the king. Thank you, Liam. Before we get the students up, I'd just like to acknowledge some of the Legion members. So if I call your name and you're here, just stand up and wave. And first of all, we have our president, John Dozzle. And Heather Atkins. Thank you, Heather. Zone 2 Public Speaking Chair, Astrenda Chambers. Doug Moore here. Scott and Kathy Powell. I'm just reading them off. Louise Sutonsky. Okay. Well, then I'm going to introduce to us our 3 speaking champions. I'm going to call them champions. Of course, they're all champions, anyways. But so I'll just introduce you. So Ava Locke. Hi, Ava. Rowden Doyle. Rowan. Thank you. And Sarah Buchanan. Bachman. Okay. Well done. So I think, Sarah, maybe if you would like to do yours first. Are you going to do your presentation, or would you like to do that for us? Do you mind coming up to the? I know maybe you can go right here, but I'd like to see everybody. If you can, you like working with a microphone or no? Okay. Then you're fine. You're probably fine right there. But just yell so we can hear it, because we want all sides.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bachman. I'm from Senator. Some of you may know me, but most of you I'm probably just on stage.
Sure.
I'm Sarah, with an H. I'm from Senator. Some of you may know me, but most of you I'm probably just on stage. Now it's safe to say, you know, my physical appearance and my name. But do you know who I really am or what I was? To get to know a bit more about me, let's start with the very beginning. Most babies' first words are from their age of mom, mama, dad, or dad. But nope, not me. My first word was journal fees. Ball. Yep, my first word was ball. This proves I was always on one word. I'll use that. But for the most part, babies are poor. No offense to any babies. But me as a toddler, on the other hand, oh boy, I was for sure a handful. I love to use sand and mud and other things, which I probably shouldn't do. For example, we have those alphabet. And I ate about 3 squares of phone before throwing the first. In kindergarten, I would eat the common enemy. The sandbox was where I spent most of my time, but when we were called back to the kindergarten, I would take a handful of sand and sprinkle it over whoever sat in front of the sand. In 1st to 2nd grade, I was bullied. But at that time, I wasn't even that weird. After a while, I started wearing a tail. And subsequently, people started being next to me. So I stopped practicing. Ever since I was very little, I've had an odd fascination with catching animals. When I was around 7, I caught a wild duck. And according to my dad, I ran up to him, stuck in him. I did it! I tricked her! I held it right up, I pulled it away, and then I snatched her. I also attempted to eat a bullfrog with an arrow. But that is very good. In 3rd and 5th grade, I got really into group crime. I guess you can see what wrote that let me down. Eventually, this moved me into getting into SFX or special effects. So far, I have so many good shots. Unzip my face, had oil on my face, scratched my hands, arms, and legs, scratched my friend's thing, and much more. Or at least I made it look like I did all those things. Ever since then, Halloween became my home. I started making more elaborate costumes, such as a man cut off his own head and served it on the platter, or a massive comic sheet with my head in the box. After a while, these costumes became somewhat boring. So I decided to spice things up with stills. So far, I've completed 1.5 still costumes for thanks to making many more. My dad taught me how to sew. I'm still not great at it, but I taught myself how to walk on stills. I also aim to learn to run easy. In the future, these things give me the perfect application to become a son. Of my true aspiration is to become a politician. You may be thinking, how can you stand up here and tell partially embarrassing stories about yourself for 3 to 5 minutes? Saying one is going to be an enormous debate. But to tell you the truth, it's really not that hard. It's not like a bad meeting, all of your enemies. If anything, it's not. Honestly, I wanted to touch on before, we think that's when we look different, we're 2 different things. Doesn't mean you're any better nor worse than you are on. Don't forget the wax covers that will might be coming in pictures. We can turn over.
Thank you, Sarah. Very good. Thank you. Okay, next we'll have Miss Doyle.
Close your eyes. Feel yourself drifting off to sleep. Wake up. Are you dreaming? Probably not, considering the fact that it physically takes your body around 15 minutes to fall asleep. But I know you've been before. And if you're anything like me, you've always wanted to learn first things and how to happen. So let's start off simple. How to think your time? Well, there are many different theories. One theory is your personal opinions. I took it during the pandemic, never to the day. It's not sure. Need to figure. So, maybe the cover of the cleaning service, like a work for you. Or you watch the networks on the way out. But what are the nightmares? When you saw the garden, the creepy clown chasing around the scanner. Well, when you're there, you're going to stop and there's something watching. However, when you're asleep, there's motion. So, maybe it's just a motion side away. And because it's the future in the and get this, not only can you do ways, but also benefits. As I said before, you know, streets are not more competitive. To use the end of modern listen to yours. But they can also accompany and say, that's their one of the biggest of those. But it also doesn't. I mean, how do you know that you know you can't find a better class? Why not? There is a school at this University of Iowa. Sounds pretty nice, but it could be true. I mean, mistake. Maybe you would say. It's not pretty much some kind of how you. Most days is days is very days. Now it's what you all know. The dreams have meaning? The short answer is yes. It's so many different things. So many different things. I'm going to stick with the one comment. For example, short, small, now as long as I'm speaking to the practice stuff, it basically just means you're actually with yourself. Have you ever been that problem? Well, there is me. I mean, that's the to stop thinking that there's not a prepared path to enjoy the party. If you're what if you want to do the past? Oh, that one you're going to get there. You make the work for so many things. Last, but certainly not least, things like that. Often Lori learned our that he said that he wants to change because of that obviously Now, all this controversy. What does it mean? That's called déjà vu, and no, cannot. In French, déjà vu are the same. So how does déjà vu? Everything else, from many different things. But, you know what I was talking about myself before? Déjà vu, put in their they were living in the present. What I'm trying to say is, picture yourself flying text. Now the present is really us. Never you know. It's not really right. For all I know, they're very good. And if someone's not answering the password, maybe they'll remember the number. Someone can say that the many people.
Very nicely done. You've got a good memory. Okay, Ava, are you ready?
Family, good afternoon. Family is the best in the world. First, it's free from the hospital. Don't forget when you play. Who makes the perfect God with next to watch TV all day? One of my favorite things to do with my family, while along with chips, pockets, and watching the get service, and the food talk. Of the daily without pedal I get the mommy and daddy. We're always like what's one hey Brad, the cottage is camping, Granny, but if you're not there, we're probably at home with our cousins, aunts, uncles, and grandparents, all around playing games. One of my favorite games to play is volleyball. Easy to go loud for it. It's like there's one move and you're supposed to ball on the side. It's a point. What out of it? And I was tired. Me and my brother always write ATV and moonlight around my yard before the sun. I have two dogs at home, down stories. They're cuddly and soft. One of them is you sleep on the top. Don't tell me that. Me and my mom love it. We make a best chocolate chip cookie. Yummy. Me and my dad have to go in every day just to eat chicken. That was very fun. They make you feel safe and protected, and I can do anything. I don't know what else to do. I love it so much. Even my brother Jackson.
I don't need the microphone either. That was very, very good, ladies. And we're all proud of you and we're glad to live in Allen Cove. Because that's a great place to live, we think, and obviously we're raising some very good kids. I think so. So I have certificates. And I believe the first one is for Ava. Would you like a certificate? There you go. And if you can stand here with me for a minute. Stand up there. And next we have, I believe it's Roland. There you go. Stand there. And Sarah. And we'd like the region as well. Or being all hard stuff. Well, we might have
Tonight, we actually have more students than what we had originally identified. We put up to the schools that they were able to attend. So I would like the students who participate in the craft and media, public speaking, come up with 12 things. Okay, I'm sorry. Everybody say money. Hey, go figure it out. Just one more thing, just one more thing. One is telling me, we were in the hospital coming through. So we're gonna get some certificates for everyone that's received tonight. We didn't get one. So if you could just let us know, or John, can you let us know? We have it. We have it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. You can leave that with me. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming. It is good to see the students are participating in the programs. Very much so. Thank you, parents, teachers, your support is well. That's all.
Yeah, right, back. Most kids on these beaches are so hard to, grade because they were so good, but that one on the Dreams, I think she won everything. Yeah.
Yep. No, I know that. Yep, that's where we're headed next. Well, it's nice to see some people going to stick around. I hope you enjoy that as much as you did the first portion of our meeting. Okay, we're going to move on then to item number 3, which is disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof from councils. Seeing none, that'll be recorded. Next, we have approval of the agenda as circulated, and this is for the municipal planning meeting agenda of Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. Be it resolved that the municipal planning meeting agenda of Tuesday, April 25, 2023 be approved as circulated. Could I get a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we're moving on to item 5, which is approval of the minutes. And these are the minutes of Tuesday, March 28, 2023. Be it resolved that the municipal planning meeting minutes of Tuesday, March 28, 2023 be approved. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stolber, and seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any discussion on those? All in favor? That motion is carried. Uh, 15, 16. 6, I bet you that's the one that just to the road. Yeah. So we're moving into the planning meeting. Switch. Thank you. We're going to move into the planning meeting, but before we do that, I would just like to tell you a little bit about this meeting and how it's to proceed. As mayor, I chair the meeting, and I will announce the applications in order as listed on the agenda. Jennifer Kernan, our senior planner, will summarize her findings. And this is Jennifer, and give us her recommendations. The applicant will be asked if they wish to make any comments or add further comments, and all participants will be unmuted for this portion of the proceedings. The public will also be asked if they wish to make any comments, and do that please by addressing me through your worship, and your give us your name. Would like to make a comment regarding this application. Once the chair has recognized you, you may be able to speak. Please try to refrain from speaking from when someone else is speaking. Then we'll move on to item 7. So item 7 is a motion to adjourn to a land division committee of adjustment meeting. And I'll read the motion. Be it resolved that the Township of Allen-McCullough, being a land division committee or committee of adjustment, adjourn to the land division committee or committee of adjustment meeting for the purpose of a present consent application. And we'll do that right at 6:30. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we're going on to item 8, which is a report from our Jennifer Current, our senior planner, and it's regarding a cancellation certificate. Jennifer, go ahead, please.
Through you, Mayor Logal. This application, it's a little different than the normal applications we usually see at Committee of Adjustment. This is a request for a certificate of cancellation. The Planning Act was changed last year and allowed municipalities and committees of adjustment to issue certificates of cancellation that would essentially void previous consents or severances. In this case, this property was actually subject to a lot addition application in 2022. It was approved by the Land Division Committee on October 27th, 2022. And with that application, it was approved to add 1.6 hectares to 165 Burns Avenue from an adjacent very large agricultural property. And as a condition of consent, the applicant's lawyer was required to submit an undertaking, which is essentially a lawyer's promise that the severed parcel be deeded as or compiled with the existing lot into one parcel. And in order to do that, we have to issue a certificate of cancellation for the original consent, and a new certificate will be issued for the entire property. So this is real. There's no the Planning Act doesn't require a planning analysis for this. This is just a mechanism for the lot addition application that was, or lot addition that was approved last year to be finalized. So it's a pretty standard or straightforward issue, but we haven't dealt with any of these before. So there's no really any planning implications. The severance with the lot addition application complied with the policies of the provincial policy statement, the township and county official plans. So the recommendation is that staff be authorized to issue the certificate of cancellation.
Okay. Everybody understand? Can I get a mover and a seconder for that recommendation? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stolberg, seconded by Councillor Booth. Are there any further questions? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Number 9 is a motion to reconvene to the municipal planning meeting. I'll read the motion. Be it resolved that the council of the Township of Allen Calderwood, being a land division committee or committee of adjustments, reconvene to the municipal planning meeting at 6:37. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth. Seconder, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Next, we're going to move on to item number 10. And this is a public meeting regarding zone applications. And the first one we have is a application by Linda Constable, agent John Beecham, Z02 2023, bylaw 30/2023, concession A, part of lot 18, geographically in Haldeman. Jennifer, go ahead. Did John want to? You want to move up, John, in case you have any questions or comments?
Certainly.
Right there if you want.
Through you, Mayor Logal. The purpose of application Z02 2023 is to rezone a portion of land located in part of Lot 18, Concession A, Geographic Township of Haldeman. This application was required as a condition of consent application AH 12 2022, which was conditionally approved by the Land Division Committee of Adjustment on June 21st, 2022, and which created a new 0.4 hectare vacant rural residential lot. At that time, you can have a seat if you want, it's fine. Okay. Okay. At that time, the applicant, given proximity of a wetland and a hydrologic feature, a water course on the property, the applicant was required to do a hydrologic evaluation and an environmental impact study. And that study recommended that lands within 30 meters of the wetland be rezoned to the environmental protection zone. And the severed lot, this isn't required by the EIS, this is just required by our zoning bylaw. The severed lot has to be rezoned to rural residential. Because it's 0.4 hectares, it didn't comply with the rural zone provisions. So at that point, at the time that the consent was approved, Lower Trent Conservation provided comments recommending that the application be deferred pending the completion of a elevation survey. The Benlock Road and the northern part of Beecham Road are located within the floodplain of Shelter Valley Creek, and the existing floodplain mapping for that area, it was done in the 1970s, indicates that the road is within the floodplain. And under the provincial policy statement, lot creation or development shouldn't be undertaken on properties that do not have safe access. And safe access, the Conservation Authority is defined as having 0.3, the road has to be 0.3 meters or less below the floodplain. So you can't have more than a foot of water. At the time, the Land Division Committee decided to approve the severance. The recommendation was the severance be approved with the condition requiring the elevation survey. At that time, Land Division Committee took out that recommendation. So the severance was approved without the condition requiring the elevation survey. They had discussion about it and they decided that they didn't believe it was appropriate to have that, given, I guess, the existing development on Beecham Road. So I have received comments from the Conservation Authority again with this zoning bylaw amendment, once again saying that until they're recommending that the application be deferred pending completion of a topographic survey or an elevation survey, determining that the road will provide safe access such that the floodplain is not greater than 0.3 meters where the road crosses through the floodplain. So my recommendation is that the application be deferred because it doesn't comply with the provincial policy statement, which requires safe access. Mr. Beecham is here. Again, once it's demonstrated that there is safe access, I have no planning concerns with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment as applied for. And that is to rezone the conditionally approved severed lot to the rural residential zone and those lands within 30 meters of the wetland to the environmental protection zone.
Thank you, Jennifer. Does council have any questions or comments?
I just,
Go ahead.
to you, Mayor, to you, Mayor Lowell, Mr. Beecham, are you, the lot, I was down on that road today and, the lot that you're wanting to do, is it right beside the little white house?
That's correct.
That's where you're wanting to go in and, Madam Planner, that's where the issue would be, is to get a culvert and a entrance into that property there?
No, the issue is further up the road to the north, where there's a bridge over Shelter Valley Creek, further up the road at
Yeah.
Beecham Road.
Yeah,
And there's the floodplain there covers a significant portion of Beecham Road up near there's a campground up there.
Yeah.
Up in that area. So it doesn't have actually anything to do with the individual lot that's being created. It's
It's
actually
just
further up on the road.
Thank you, Joan. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Mayor Kaplan.
Through you, Mayor Lowell. I don't even know if anyone in here, is it on the road improvement plan or is there any discussion of that through our road public works department?
I don't think it's on the plan to do some work this year. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Logal. We don't know right now whether or not the road does provide a safe access or doesn't provide safe access. That was the condition of consent because it could, I believe the bridge was rebuilt and the road has been resurfaced a number of times over the year. So we don't have a recent elevation of the road. And that was why when we did the consent, that we recommended that there be an elevation survey done of the road to demonstrate whether or not there is safe access. Yeah, we don't know whether or not it does because the floodplain mapping is from the 1970s.
Thank you. How many homes are on this road to the south of the bridge where you're planning to do some work?
Through you, Mayor Logal, I don't know the exact number. There are at least 2 on the east side of the road. That's the property, the dwelling on the existing property now. There's a house to the north of it. There's a house on the west side of the road, immediately across the road from the proposed severed lot. And I apologize, Mr. Beecham probably has a better idea. If I look at my key map here, I see that there's at least 1, 2, 3 houses, perhaps 4 houses on the east side and 1 or maybe 2 on the west side.
Do you want to make a comment?
Okay, actually, there are currently 5 homes in the road. 3 of which are located between my site and the creek.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay. Last June, it was decided by the planning committee to waive that condition. And after 30 days, I have a notice of decision indicating to me that at that time, what was required was a survey of the property, a rezoning, which is why I'm here this evening, and also payment of the fees associated with development. Effectively, I feel that this is kind of rescinding that decision. I have lived on that road, it's family farm, I've lived on that road since 1960. During that time, there have been 3 water events with Shelter Valley Creek, 1975, when it flooded on the west side of the road on the O'Connor property. At that time, the water came up to about 4 inches of the road surface. Then in March of 1980, the bridge was washed out. And then 3 years ago, 2019, there was an ice blockage under the bridge, which diverted the water through the camp and down into a creek on Carl Shell's property. Unfortunately, flow caused an issue with a culvert that didn't fit the amount of water going through. But otherwise, water never came up to the level of the road. And so over 60 years, it's never approached the level of that road. So there are 5 forms. I'm requesting the committee. Also, my mother has decided that after last year's power outages that she has to sell the property to farm. So I'm under a time constraint to get this sentence complete. I've had issues getting a surveyor, and I feel that putting in this condition again may preclude my ability to actually get a sentence to be able to build. I'm asking that this committee facilitate completion of the survey by continuing the decision that's made last year.
Okay. Thank you. I'll make just one comment to what you were, I remember that in 2019, going down there and there was ice underneath the bridge and they had to bring in basically a backhoe and everything else to get the ice to start flowing. Once they did that, there wasn't a problem at all. And there, I can't say, I don't believe the water actually got up to the level of the road but the campground is quite a bit lower than the road, isn't it?
On both sides of the road, there's low-lying properties, there's the O'Connor Farm, and there is the campground. There are large flat areas, there's no hills, there's no ravines, so the water has a large area to disperse.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, maybe to Jennifer or the applicant. So if this is being deferred pending confirmation of what? They're asking for an elevation study then?
Yes, they're asking, sorry, through you, Mayor Logo. Yes, the Conservation Authority is recommending confirmation through a survey that the road would be high enough to provide safe access.
And so how much is an elevation study?
It's a survey. I'm sorry, I don't know the cost of.
Would you
survey
know?
for
Have
that.
you looked into it at all? Is it something quite expensive or is it a time consuming?
I don't know the cost of it. My issue is being a surveyor is going to be able to do it. Having to getting any survey.
Anybody else have any further questions or comments? I tend to agree with you, Greg. I'm not sure that we have to hold this up. You know, that's my
Well,
opinion.
this came up at last council and I think we let it go without it because exactly what the planner was saying, the study was from 1978, I believe, the floodplain study. But I guess the concern is if you approve something like this and you do get that once in a century flood or something like that, then it could wash out, you know, whatever. I don't know. I'm not an expert at it, but
I think the concern, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, the concern is that it may be too high. The water could be so high that the vehicles couldn't travel across there. And there are 4 houses that are there, or 5 houses, pardon me, that are there now. That, you know, if you have to send a fire truck down to rescue people, you're going to have to rescue them all. And I don't think that's going to happen. Anybody else have any further comments? I'm going to read the motion then. Be it resolved. Do you have any further comments?
No, I think I pretty well said everything. Thank you.
Okay, I guess it's probably too of a chance. Yeah. And I should be offering the public, anybody in the audience, if they wish to speak on this application. Okay, seeing none, I'll read the motion. Oh, Mayor Catherine, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering if it would come up in the road study that is happening this year anyway. But I don't know, that's asking you to wait, but I mean, I think that would be something that we'd be looking at, and certainly culverts and ditches is something we're looking at, but. Again,
Jennifer, you want to comment on that?
Through you, Mayor Logal, this isn't something that would be done as a matter of course during a roads need study. It's sort of a special issue that would be looked at independently of the, the general nature of culverts and that road surfaces and that sort of thing. Because this is, we're not looking at the quality of the road or the quality of the bridge, it's the actual elevation of the bridge.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Here's the resolution. Be it resolved that the application Z02 2023 to amend the zoning parcel lands owned by Linda Constable, legally described as part of Lot 18 Concession A, geographically in the township of Haldeman, from the rural RU zone to the rural residential RR and environmentally protection EP zone in the township of Allenwick, Haldeman, zoning bylaw number 19, 2019, as amended, be deferred pending confirmation that the conditional approval severed lot has safe access. Need a mover and a seconder to put it on the table.
I'll move it to bring it on the table.
Councilor, moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Councilor Booth, you have the first opportunity.
I'll be voting to not defer it. I think council made the decision on the last council that we would forego that. I think it's unfair to the applicant to now change the rules and for something like this, and there's already houses there, so.
Thank you, Councilor Booth. Councilor Ainsworth, do you have any comments?
Yeah, no, I intend to agree with Councillor Booth. And I live in the Shelter Valley Creek myself, and it's the flooding is, it's what it is. It's and I say we got 5 other houses down there. It's hard to put this all on one person right now. So I think I don't have a problem supporting this.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment?
I would, through you, Mayor Logal, I would vote to support it as well.
Okay. Mayor Catherine, comment? So I guess we'll have to change that to instead of be deferred, we're saying we go ahead and approve. Correct?
Do we do that, or we just vote that down and then make it?
That's the right way. Okay. 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 Okay, thank you. All in favor of the motion to defer? Seeing none. I guess that the motion is lost. We don't get too many of these. The motion is lost. So can I get another resolution? Go ahead, Greg.
I'll make the motion, and what would it have to say? Jennifer, you're the expert that.
The motion will read that application Z02 2023 to amend the zoning on parcels of land owned by Linda Constable, agent John Beecham, located at 117 Beecham Road, legally described as part of Lot 18 Concession A, geographic Haldeman, from the rural RU to the rural residential RR and environmental protection EP zones in the township of Allenwick, Haldeman, zoning bylaw 19-2019 as amended, be approved.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Moved by Greg, seconded
can
by
second that.
Councillor Ainsworth. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Next, we have an application for Dan McBride and Zach McBride, Z04 2023. The bylaw is 31 2023, concession 5, part of lot 16, geographically in Haldeman. Is Dan and Zach here tonight? Would you like to come up, please? You only got one chair, can you share?
You can pull up a couple chairs if you want to sit down.
Have a seat. It looks like you're in court or something.
Okay, Jennifer.
Through you, Mayor Logo. This is an application for a zoning bylaw amendment. The property is located at 1322 County Road 22 on the north side of County Road 22. Oh, sorry, I apologize. In the planning report, I wrote County Road 222. It's just County Road 22. And it's located on the south side of Preddy Road. So it's sort of sandwiched between Preddy Road and County Road 22. The applicant has applied to permit a home industry that is larger than that permitted in the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman zoning bylaw. Current zone provisions only permit a home industry with a maximum of 100 square meters and a maximum of 2 employees that don't reside on the property. The applicants are proposing to utilize an existing 370 meter squared accessory building for their home industry. In the application, they noted that it consists of vehicle maintenance, welding, fabricating, and retail sale of fabricated signs. The retail portion they estimated would be about a 70 square meter portion of the building located on the south side of the accessory structures, while the fabrication portion would be located within the larger 300 square shop. This property was formerly used by, I believe it was called Centerton Farm and Sport. There was farm equipment repairs and I believe snowmobile sales that took place on this property. That use has ceased to exist for a number of years, and any legal non-conforming status would have been lost because it has ceased to operate. The property, as I mentioned, has frontage on both Preddy Road and County Road 22. It's developed with a single detached dwelling and 2 accessory buildings. There's an open building permit on the subject property for the expansion of the existing dwelling unit for the creation of a secondary dwelling unit. And that is separate from the issue that we're here about tonight. Tonight, we're here to talk about, or they have applied for an application to use the former site of Centerton Farm and Sport as a home industry to be used for their metal fabrication business. The surrounding lands are a combination of rural residential and agricultural uses. The property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine. There's a number of rural residential uses in the property, particularly along County Road 22, as well as some along Preddy Road. There are 2 water courses that are identified in the vicinity of this area, but they're both over 200 meters east and south of the property, and there are no natural heritage features identified on the property. The property is designated Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside in the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman official plan. And when we're looking at the Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside designation, it's basically divided into 2 sections, the Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside Rural and Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside Agricultural. And in this case, it's Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside Rural. So when we're looking at the provincial policy statement, we look at those uses and permitted in the rural area. Now, permitted uses under the provincial policy statement, uses permitted in the rural designation include management or use of resources, resource-based recreational uses, limited residential development, home occupations and home industries, cemeteries, and other rural land uses. So the use of the property as a home industry is permitted by the provincial policy statement. Now, there are a home industry, there's scales of home industries, and because it is a home industry, it's the residential use of the property is the predominant use of the property, and the home occupation or home industry is secondary to that main residential use. So it's important to maintain the residential nature of the property, and there have been some concerns with respect to outdoor storage on the property. And I'm speaking to that now in this section because this section of the provincial policy statement wants municipalities to ensure that development is compatible with surrounding land uses. And right now, the extent of the outside storage with respect to some abandoned derelict vehicles, unlicensed vehicles aren't necessarily compatible with surrounding land uses. Provided though that that type of outdoor storage is taken care of, the proposed home industry would be consistent with the provincial policy statement. Now, the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan contains policies for the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside rural area. And once again, home industries are permitted in the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside area. And there's a definition of home industry that's included in the report. And it's also the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan contains a requirement that an auto repair or paint shop or furniture stripping are not permitted as home occupations on the Oak Ridges Marine. So while the applicants have applied for vehicle maintenance as part of their home occupation, that use isn't permitted on the Oak Ridges Marine as part of a home industry. So the metal fabrication component of the expanded home industry is permitted on the Oak Ridges Marine. It would be consistent with the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan. It actually, under home industries, it says provides service such as carpentry, metalworking, welding, electrical work. So the metal working component of the proposed or existing home industry would be consistent with the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan. However, the vehicle repair component would not be. The property Northumberland County official plan, once again, Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan, and it's subject to the policies that I just spoke about earlier. In the township's official plan, again, it's designated Oak Ridges Marine Countryside, and the official plan contains a set of definitions and policies pertaining specifically to land uses on the Oak Ridges Marine. The definition of home industry and home industries for the Oak Ridges Marine are the same essentially as that provided in the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan. And the official plan policies also state that home industries must be compatible with surrounding land uses and that adequate off-street parking be provided, and provide that there is sufficient off-street parking on the site. However, outside storage of derelict and unlicensed vehicles is not compatible with the surrounding land uses. Provided the site is cleaned up and the home industry is contained within the existing accessory building, the proposed home industry would be consistent with the official plan policies. The township zoning bylaw contains regulations pertaining to home industries and the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside, the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside zone. And it speaks to a home industry, meaning a small scale use that's accessory to a single dwelling or agricultural operation. Provides, again, it's the same definition that we heard earlier. And it also specifies that auto repair or paint shop or furniture stripping are not permitted. So once again, the metal fabrication use would be considered a home industry. However, the home industry provisions limit the size of a home industry to 100 square meters. And the applicants are proposing to utilize the existing 370-meter accessory building for their home industry. So the retail portion, as I mentioned earlier, would be about 70 square meters there's an addition sort of on the south side of the building, and then a larger shop of 300 square meters at the back. So auto repair and paint shops are specifically prohibited as part of a home industry in the Oak Ridges Marine. Section 418.7 of the township zoning bylaw states that any area used for outdoor storage activity or parking associated with home industry shall be screened in such a manner as to render the materials, items, or activity as not being visible from a public street, road, or adjacent properties. Currently, there's no screening on the property, and there is outside storage of scrap, derelict, and unlicensed vehicles and other materials that are clearly visible from both Preddy Road and County Road 22, and adjacent properties. The zoning bylaw requires a 20-meter setback from all property lines. The existing building, so it's a legal building already, that is intended to be used as the home occupation, meets the requirement on 3 sides. However, The building is located approximately 10 meters from the northern property boundary, which abuts Preddy Road. So the zoning bylaw, the special exception zoning requested would have to recognize that reduced setback. The building being used for the home industry was previously home of Centerton Farm and Sport. However, that use ceased to operation a number of years ago, and the legal non-compliant status has been lost. Land uses are considered legal non-conforming when a use that was permitted in a previous zoning bylaw is no longer permitted by the new regulations. That previously permitted use is allowed to continue as a legal non-conforming use. However, that status is lost when the operation ceases operation. So that's why they couldn't continue on as a legal non-conforming use, because the Centerton Farm and Sport has ceased to operate. With this application, the property would be rezoned to the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside Exception 10, which would permit a home industry utilizing one existing 370 square meter building and a reduced northern setback of 10 meters. Automotive repairs would be specifically prohibited, as would a paint shop. An agency circulation was undertaken. There were no issues identified during the agency circulation. The application underwent a public circulation. A number of phone calls and emails have been received regarding expressing concern and an opposition with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. These concerns and opposition are concerned primarily with yard maintenance, scrap, unlicensed and derelict vehicles, concerns regarding water drainage and potability, noise, paint odor, construction prior to a zoning bylaw amendment, and the fact that the property is currently being used as a home industry prior to the zoning bylaw. With respect to these, construction prior to a zoning bylaw amendment, as I mentioned earlier, the construction is unrelated to this application. It's a separate issue. They have an approved building permit for the expansion to the existing dwelling. Several of the concerns pertain to property standards issues regarding derelict vehicles, scrap, and outdoor storage. And while outdoor storage is permitted as part of a home industry, any stored materials and vehicles must be screened from the adjacent properties and the roads, and that's not currently the case. A site visit has been conducted and the owners were notified that the site needed to be cleaned up, that there were some issues. And a second site visit was conducted. I just drove by the other day, and it appears that the owners have initiated some site cleanup. Oh, there was concern about vehicle painting. And when I did a site visit, and when I did a site visit, the applicants indicated that they don't do vehicle painting on site. And on the date of that site visit, there was no evidence of a paint shop there. It's my understanding that a paint shop is a fairly dust-free environment, and that these buildings aren't being used as a paint shop, or there was no evidence of it. As I mentioned earlier in the report, auto repair is not permitted as part of a home industry, and this use will not be permitted on the site. There was also concern that the property was being used as a home industry prior to the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment. As I mentioned, our home industries are permitted up to 100 square meters in the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside Zone. However, I believe it is likely probable that more than 100 square meters is being used at this current time. So my recommendation is that if the business was being operated within the existing building, and I'm going to call it the red building in the center of the property. I think everybody's been out to have a look at the site. The red building in the middle of the site, if the home occupation or home industry, is operated within that building, and that any outside storage is screened from adjacent properties and the street, that it would be consistent with the provincial policy statement, the official plan, and the official plan, the county official plan, and the township zoning bylaw. However, there is some outdoor storage right now that isn't consistent with the zone provisions that we have, and their screening isn't in place. So while my recommendation is that the that the zoning bylaw amendment be approved to utilize the existing building, recognizing that vehicle maintenance and painting isn't permitted in it. So it's the metal component, metal craft component, fabrication component that would be permitted. There are still concerns with respect to outdoor storage. I believe the applicants are here, as I believe are some of the residents of the area.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Jennifer. Does council have any questions regarding your report? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logal. If I could ask, Mr. McBride. The red building, I have that, but then I forgot what you said about the building off to the side, that blue building.
This is strictly the one that's off the left while we're standing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a pole barn, it's been there for years, we've been there since 7 cars before that, and we just have lawnmowers and 4-wheelers, stuff inside. It's just strictly,
So that's just strictly
it's
storage.
It's got nothing to do with the storage. We had a couple of cars
And
that you drive to the commercial.
and I was there and I think they thought they were
We got you lost. and we didn't know
yeah,
what-
thought we were lost, but anyway, we were counting cars. I was on that TV show, I think. But I did notice that some cleanup has to be done, and the two McBride gentlemen said they were in the process of that, and there was a car that was on its way out as well. And I would be inclined to go along with this, but maybe after it's been cleaned up, and I'm not sure if Madam Planner, if that's the right way to go. If the provisions or the items are done and then the approval be given, is that how it's done sometimes?
We're dealing with two separate issues here. I deal with the planning and the
Yeah.
planning component of it. And the outdoor storage in terms of being screened and that sort of thing. There's a second component. I have to be very careful here because I'm not the bylaw enforcement officer for the municipality. There's a separate component that's with respect to property standards. And that can be enforced regardless of the status of the zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor Logal. So, I've gone out and looked at the property and met Dan and Zach and actually went to the property before, seen a lot of the cleanup. And I sat and I talked to a couple of the neighbors also. And I think when something like this happens, it's too bad that all the neighbors couldn't get together at the start of it all and then just kind of shake hands. This is what we're doing. Let's help each other out and do some stuff. But sometimes that doesn't happen, but it doesn't mean that it's not done through all for the right reasons. And so, the work that I've seen Dan and Zach do so far in the area with they've gotten rid of probably 90% or all those cars are gone now. Yep. And they've got steel bins in there throwing garbage out. They've got some stuff there from the the docks. The docks are gone. So they're really working hard to try to clean this up and to try to work with their neighbors and hopefully have a good relationship with their neighbors. And like I say, I walked through the shop and they make a good product there. And I think it's great that they're doing something here in Coleman Township. And I would just say that probably the biggest concern that I have is that we can just, that everybody can be good neighbors and work together. And I think with Dan and Zach, when I talk to them, I think they're 100% on board with trying to work with their neighbors. And I also told the neighbors that we have other bylaws that we can fall on, like I say, the property maintenance, noise bylaws, different things that we can work on with them. And I said the same thing to Zach and Dan. So, I mean, from what I've seen that they've done, And I think the neighbors expected a business to be put in that shop, and I probably did myself. I mean, when when Doug Hoekstra kind of closed it all down, I figured it was a perfect spot for something in our in our township. So you know, in saying that, and everything that I've seen done, and I've seen the hard work that you guys put in the last couple of days to get it cleaned up, as good as it is. And I would like, Dan, I know we talked about 6 or 7 things with your yard, getting it done and getting the dirt raked out and getting it all seeded, making it look good. I mean, if you want to maybe talk a little bit about that, what your plans are to get that done, that would be great. But other than that, you know, talking to the neighbors and talking to Dan and Zach, I think, you know, I would support this in the fact that I think they're going to end up being good neighbors.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments from council? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through you, your worship, I guess I see it, as you said, planner, that there's 2 issues here. There's the zoning issue and there's the bylaw issue. So I guess to Mr. McBride, I guess the one issue that sticks out a lot is, are you doing any painting on the site then?
Some sign. Especially, I don't know if I get up, they get shit out. They can say I'm not in front of the box, they, other than it's just we. The outside is too big for them. We do paint, we do tend to paint. Rules and regulations. Well, the fair, the stuff we make, problems for everyone, fire rate, they're all good. Things look like we do.
And it's all inside.
If it's, the weather's right inside. Inside, it tends to. Laser, but.
So that could be an issue. If
It's
there's,
just like an aerosol can.
Yeah.
It's not a-
I know, but if the bylaw says painting, it's painting. I don't think it means, unless you can tell me that it's something else. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, but the 2 things that stick out is the painting and the auto repair. So are you doing auto repairs on the site?
Not repair.
Personal or vehicle, we do that.
Yeah.
That's our, I call it
So if it's your personal stuff, that to me, that's different, but you don't have people come in and bring cars and you repair them on, okay. And then I guess, as you said, Councillor Ainsworth, the bylaw part is a separate part, because I see it as whether or not this zoning gets approved or not, there's still going to be an issue with the square footage inside, right? Because even if they are zoned the whatever you call it, the Oak Ridges Moraine number 10, they're allowed how big of a space inside?
The purpose of this zoning bylaw amendment is to allow them to use that entire building, which was approximately 370 square meters. So it's to allow them to use more than the 100 meters that is currently being permitted by the zoning bylaw.
Right, so that's the difference in voting for the bylaw or not, is
Yes.
basically the size.
The size of the home industry that would be permitted.
Okay.
There, Catherine.
Through you, Mayor Lovell. I drive by there every day and I see, I'm wondering a little bit about site alterations, because as I'm driving by, there's piles of everything everywhere. But my other concern is that it appears that you went ahead and did all of these things without knowing and understanding what you're allowed to do. And I just need to know that you fully understand moving forward what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. And then you're going to check before you go ahead and do more things in the future.
Dan, the big pile of Dan comes from the foundation that we just dug. Instead of taking it offsite, having it drawn away, we put it there just to level out the little racetrack that was down in the front of the building, a big rock. It will also stop and grabbing when we talk about the season. Until we finish back on the foundation, no chance to come out yet. So it's that way to the state, but don't we not know that all the other sand was down there, you know, take it off. And top.
And the best of your ability, that's not going to be that long.
No, I know the foundation for that big for today, so hopefully first starting next week, so we'll see a little over in there, start back going. Couple more trucks, probably the whole 3 more roads out. Just because we turned the house a little bit compared to the house, the existing house. We dug back into the bank. Push the foundation, move it downward, which means that it all that.
And also we full group putting that, Danny and I, and there's a huge cost behind it. And we also, we're having the excavator, we're taking all our gas line for our, the house and hydro line and whatnot. And I was hoping I could just. A couple months, just because the cost of that is huge. And we're gonna put a nice fence up, so you can't see what is there. Obviously, like, where we're allowed to put it. And so the neighbors don't see it. And also, just, we do have a few things, you know, there's a few, you know, my son's boiler is inside, there's a few things go back, it's still there. But we've tried to come away for as much as possible, good, a lot we can have, that we have. Jennifer had her same meeting. They did say they had a little bit more time, but we said, well, let's just get it done. We felt terrible, the winter did catch up to us. 3 feet of snow started to play around in it there.
Yeah. At the same time, you know, I do know that there was some of the neighbors contacted myself and their concern was, you know, they have to. It wasn't as tidy as their properties, and that's important too, I think.
We moved 200, but then 3 weeks to one place. I was at my place for 22 years, I had a lot of stuff up to there that I didn't have other people do, I own that.
And we didn't have no time to get rid of it, we had no choice other than to move it.
We moved.
I just want you to be cautious that's very important to,
It is, and that's what we put fence up, make it look nice, so, you know, the little bit of stuff that is not there. You won't see.
Okay.
Whatever's out there is all personal.
Yeah, personal, anyone see.
okay, and I guess my one other comment would be that there was a kind of a recommendation in there that you should probably take a driveway off of Purdy Road.
Through you, Mayor Logal, the recommendation was that if they want to have an entrance off of Pretty Road, that they need to apply for an entrance permit. That
Okay.
was just a comment from the manager of Public Works. I don't believe there's been an application or anything for an entrance off of Pretty Road.
And then I think the crosswalk takes care of the water on the north side of the road, other side of the road, crosswalk property, through on the college, and then down there.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't call it driveway.
It's been there for.
Off Purdy, off Purdy. Okay, because I think, you know, that's a fairly busy corner, and I would think it'd be better to come off there whenever you can, rather than have people stop.
It's been there for 30+ years, probably, even our neighbors have told us that it's been there since.
Okay,
Well, way before we were. I think 40.
okay. Okay, any further comments, fellas? I'm gonna open it up to anybody in the gallery that would like to speak. Yes, ma'am?
Linda McDougal, I live right up the road from me. And I just want to clear, my husband and I are here in support of the McBride family, that we're so grateful that they have moved into our community. They have gone out of their way to be helpful and kind and kept us aware of things. These are other neighbors, another neighbor, and we all want to speak on behalf of them. And just to say that we are grateful that they moved to the neighborhood. And very nice to live there. Well, we both had our property since 1983. So we were here when Doug had all these big machinery and stuff in there all the time. And then the man that was in there after him, Bill, and I can't for the life of me think of his last name, I can Hazard. I know perfectly well. He had all these big trucks, all these big truck business in there. Until he unfortunately passed away. And then McBride bought it. So anyway, it's not out of the way, other way being released, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your comment. Anybody else want to speak? Yes, sir.
You're local, I'm Mark Bachman, with the Station. So I live directly across the road from the drive. And for a site that's been a commercial business for years and years and years. I'd like to see it end business. I'd like to see them succeed. I think they're doing good things. They've been very helpful with us, you know. When my plow truck quit in a big snowstorm, they got the truck over here their driveway so we can get to work. You know, so I think it's a good business. I think community. I did notice about a stuff when they first moved there, but like you said, people moved from a couple of properties into one. You have a bunch of stuff with you, and over the year, since spring, they've cleaned it up a lot. So, be happy.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Any further comments? Yes, sir.
Managing this problem step and keeping the bylaws and book doesn't comply, doesn't compute. Shape and size of our doesn't allow them to do. Designated setbacks are documented within various guidelines and bylaws. For example, Senator just mentioned the fact that certain type of work is permitted, and I agree. Why those from Murray to the farming division that was mentioned. That's a small issue. Enough. Bring our step. The other I was giving part because current for another is some different more because we have to complement that. Face look for the time. For long as time. This situation was identified way back last year. Going at the screen technical doesn't. Protect the business. I have no objection, except that they cannot be done within designated.
Thank you. Any further comments? Yes, sir.
Brian Harrison on Tree Road. But I was just driving by with this today, and I have seen yard line, but that objection to business because of the business or my interest is what we call tackling if they decide the first applicants. Because it was my bylaws change. And so without any sort of recourse, that you can see the back and
Yes.
Have you ever heard the term what's going to exactly?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
You ever heard the term what's going to exactly?
No.
Said by this church at a specific meeting. I encourage the council to make that.
Thank you.
Applies to the city.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Through you, Mayor Logo, with respect to Mr. Harris's comment regarding recourse, if there are property standards issues in the future, the municipal website has a form along the banner at the top. It says compliments and concerns. We don't get many compliments, but we get a lot of concerns. So you fill out that form and our bylaw department would do an investigation and go out and visit the site when a concern is expressed. So that's how you deal with if there's a future issue, and hopefully there won't be.
Yes, that form, and I'm glad Jennifer brought that up. That form is being used regularly by the residents, and it's made it a lot better for roads, for bylaws, for everything, because they're recorded and there's a time to get back, et cetera, et cetera. So we did recognize when we were knocking on doors that could be a problem. There was a problem there, and we believe that we were making big strides to improve that. Okay, I'm going to read this. Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor Logo, just a couple more comments too is, I mean, going through this process with neighbors and with Zach and Dan, I think this is probably going to stick in everybody's head what we need to do to make this work as a business there and with neighbors. So, and it's great that you all come out and support him, and it's great that Aubrey and his group come out just to voice their opinion and their concerns. And I think Dan and Zach are going to take that to heart, and we're going to see some good neighbor stuff here going on in the future. And I'd be there to help all of you at any time. So So work towards that. And I think this is going to turn out to be a good thing. Jennifer, I just want to ask one question about the north exit or the entrance there. So there's already an entrance there, and it kind of confuses me with what this part here for what the public works manager said, that they would have to get a permit for one.
Well, through you, Mayor Logal, I've driven past the property 3 or 4 times now. And I think there is an access off of Preddy Road, but I'm not sure that I would call it an entrance off of Preddy Road. I don't think it would qualify as an entrance that somebody applied for an entrance permit for. So I think that the Public Works Manager Public Works comment was intended. If they are intending to use the Preddy Road entrance as an entrance, they need to apply for an entrance permit. Because
Okay.
there's sometimes things happen and people drive over a flat area over a number of years, and then they assume that that's an entrance. Happens a lot of the time in rural areas. It's not uncommon at all. But I think the comment from Public Works was just saying that if you want to use an actual entrance there, that they need to apply for an entrance permit.
Okay, go ahead.
Through you, your worship. So I've listened to both sides here, and I know everybody's commented that we want to see a business in town succeed and be successful, and people are okay with that. I think the issues raised from some of the neighbors are valid, but I liked what the deputy mayor said before is it possible, or would council look at the idea of deferring this? And what that means is we would put it off a little bit, because it does say in there, provided the site is cleaned up. So if you've started that and you've promised things that are going to happen, but you did mention about the screening that would probably be in the next few months or something. So there's the cleanup, the screening, the stuff like that. I'm wondering if council would be willing to defer this, and whether it be, you tell us, the McBrides, what you need, if it's a okay, but the screening I am understanding is if you have anything outside for the business, and that has to be screened, right?
Yes, any under the zoning bylaw, the provisions require that any storage for the home industry has to be screened from the adjacent, any storage of materials or vehicles need to be screened from the roads and adjacent property owners.
So, and I know you have great intentions for it, and it sounds like you need a little bit more time. I'm wondering if to compromise is that we could say continue with your cleanup, and then maybe in a month or 2 months or whatever, that the bylaw officer go out again and check on things to make sure if everything's good. Then I think we're holding you to your word, right? That yes, you've promised that you're, because I understand there's a concern as they want to make sure that things keep going, right? And it's going to end up being a bylaw issue anyway, because even if you get the zoning and everything, if there is painting, or if you are doing auto repairs or anything in the future, then somebody could fill out a complaint form and there would be a bylaw issue, right? But I'm just hoping that the cleanup and everything can be done, instead of us saying that in the next few weeks, we're going to continue. So that's why I like what you said, Deputy Mayor, that, go ahead.
I tend to agree with you, Councillor Booth, through your Mayor Logal. When I was there today, you were saying that you have this to do, you have this to do, and this to do, and it might just alleviate some of the concerns from the neighbors. It sounds to me like you're on fast tracking to get done what you need to get done, and it would just simplify the process if you were able to do that. Because it sounds to me like we're, I can't think of anybody not wanting to agree with the amendment to the zoning bylaw. So I think that might be the way to do it. I don't think it's going to hold you up that much farther, is it? If it was to, 2 months or a month and a half or so.
I guess okay.
Yeah,
I
that
would
would be
just like
my-
to clarify, what you're gonna, the screening, is that for personal stuff or is that for the business?
Fence.
Pardon me?
It's
The
fenced.
being put up between the adjacent property. It's
Yeah.
part of Pretty Road, and we're gonna plant nice trees across the front where the nice grass area is. Once we get the grass area, they can't, grass doesn't grow in sand graders.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put some trees across the front to, and.
On 22 or,
Yeah.
On
Okay.
22.
Fence up on Pretty Road.
Yeah.
And then across the back. Big thing cost, it's a big cost to put that up and time. We will get it done 100%. I couldn't agree more that, when it comes to a neighbor.
yeah,
I would like to put that up. I don't, it's unfortunate that it's come between
okay,
you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
come between those two. I mean, I'm 400% of it.
Mike, you got a further comment?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Lovell. So like, I'm kind of the other way. I see these two gentlemen here and I take them for their word. And I think it would be more of neighborly relationship builder so that the neighbors seen them do it on their own free will instead of counselor holding something over top of them. Right? That's the way I would like to see it.
Is there a lady back at the back there that wants to make a comment?
If we don't stop this and we allow to use those streets, we got pressure on people to making out of this family business. And if we don't want anyone to do the actual things that we want to do, it does make the property wrong.
Thank you. Mary Catherine?
I was going to make a similar point that this is a business, and so we're operating on that, but I think it's essential that you guys know and understand and familiarize yourself with the property standards bylaw. And I think that's very important, and we do intend to make sure it is enforced moving forward.
Mayor. And through you, Mayor Lovell, and we have those avenues to look after that, but I just don't see that's going to happen. I see this is a great opportunity for things like this to happen and both people are here on both sides of the fence kind of thing. And I would like to see a better relationship building, and I think them cleaning up the yards and doing what they say they're going to do, and the residents or the neighbors seeing that happen on their own free will is a way better way than doing it than us holding something over their head.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, I'm going to read the motion. Thank you, everyone's had a chance to speak. Be it resolved, the application Z04 2023 to amend parcels of land owned by Danny McBride and Zach McBride, legally described as part of Lot 16, Concession 5, geographically in the Township of Holdeman, from Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside and Oak Ridges Moraine Plan Review zone to Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside exception number 10, ORMCO 10 zone in the Township of Allenwood Calderman zoning bylaw 2019 be approved, be amended and be approved. And further that a bylaw will be passed later in this meeting. Do I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any further discussion?
Through your Mayor Local. And I concur with all the comments that I've heard. I still would like to have some kind of a timeline for this, and I put it to the gentleman to see what is humanly possible for you to have the screening put up and the trees in place and the grass in place. What would a timeline for you to be? I think it would be good for you as well to have a timeline, and the neighbors here today hearing that. We don't, maybe they'll come and help you plant some of the trees.
I can't put a time on the grass, honestly.
I wouldn't expect you to.
Once I'll have all those there now, and we hopefully will backfill the building, backfill the foundation.
I was looking at, through your Mayor Logo, I was looking at months. Would it be? Yeah, well, that's, I think that's something I could be in favor with it, just so you have a timeline. So we're looking at maybe a 4-month window to complete that.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we're going on to communications. Then we have item 12. Keep moving, otherwise we're gonna be here till tomorrow.
You can just keep talking.
Huh?
You can just
I
keep
can
talking.
keep talking, good. Correspondence received from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing dated April 6, 2023 regarding helping homeless. Hey, guys, we got a meeting going on. Thank you. Protecting Tenants Act. And the motion is be resolved, the correspondence received from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing dated April 6 regarding helping homeowner buyers protecting tenants act be received and filed. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have a correspondence received from MPP Pacini dated April 12, 2023 regarding MPP Pacini's job site challenge. Be it resolved that the correspondence received from MPP Pacini regarding the MPP Pacini's job site challenge be received and further that. And we're looking for council direction. I guess my comment is I believe they were asked to respond to this by the May 12th or something.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Early May.
Yeah, you won't have you'll be able to do that.
This is I believe this is with respect to job site challenge. I think they're talking about having they're talking about employment lands and shovel-ready employment lands.
Yes.
The township of Alnwick Haldeman, that generally speaks to serviced employment lands. We don't have any serviced employment lands. We have some rural industrial lands north of the 401, limited rural employment lands north of the 401. We're at a bit of a disadvantage with respect to that type of thing because we don't have municipal services. So I think this is generally speaking to more urban municipalities. And I know, having worked in urban municipalities in the past, they work towards having certified lands that are, they call it shovel ready. Somebody can move in and develop it immediately. I believe that this is what is being referred to here.
Yeah.
I'm not certain that our municipality is in a situation where we can commit to having shovel ready industrial land because we don't have services.
I was trying to figure that out through your man logo. I was trying to think of where that location would be. One kind of popped up, but
I think we have to send them a letter saying that at least that we
Sure.
don't have any. Just so we respond. Otherwise, you'll be looking at me and wondering where the heck is going on.
or on the other note, if they were familiar with Alnwick Haldeman, they might know our limitations as
Yep.
well.
That's true. That's true. But if we should answer it.
We should, you're right.
Respect. So, mover and seconder, did we get that? Can I get a mover and second, put it on the table? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, second by Deputy Mayor Stover. We'll receive and we'll respond to the May 12th. All in favor? Motion's carried. We have a planning report from Jennifer regarding the Roseneath subdivision and this on the Schoolhouse Road.
Through you, Mayor Logal. We have the applicant's engineer here, also Brian Keane from Jewel Engineering. He is
Hi, Brian.
he's the Gray J Developments engineer, and he's been working with us on this development application. This is a historical development, I guess we'll call it. In February of 1980, Alnwick Township entered into a subdivision agreement for a 12-unit or a 12-lot subdivision in Roseneath. The road lands were conveyed to the municipality. The individual lots were created. There's an executed subdivision agreement. Then nothing happened for 43 years. 42 years. Stuff started to happen last year. So the land has changed hands. There's a new developer. As part of the development exercise, the municipality entered into a development agreement allowing the developer access to the municipal road allowance lands to do some investigatory work. That work was undertaken. They have subsequently done had an engineering submission that prepared by Jewel Engineering. The municipality has had it peer reviewed. There were a few revisions that were made. Come to a consensus that we've got a good development proposal here for the construction of the roads. And so we're at a point now where we can enter into a new subdivision agreement. Well, actually, having consulted with our municipal solicitor, they have recommended entering into an amending subdivision agreement. So it's basically says that this agreement will amend the previous subsequent agreement, a subdivision agreement. So that went through a municipal legal review also. So we have a subdivision agreement that's ready to go. We've got an engineering submission that our engineer has reviewed and is confident with the design of. And so now we're at a point where the municipality needs to enter into this amending subdivision agreement. And I believe that I would be speaking appropriately when I say that there's the one area that we have a disagreement in right now is with respect to securities. When a municipality enters into a subdivision agreement, the subdivision agreement specifies all kinds of things, the responsibilities of the developer, the responsibilities of the municipality, the developer's engineer, release of securities, financial securities, and we take financial securities for work done during the subdivision process. The most recent subdivision in Alnwick Haldeman would be the Glens of Antrim subdivision in Grafton here. And with that subdivision, we took 100% securities. Well, that means 100% of the cost of works for the development. The developer's engineer is required to submit a page with all of the work that needs to be done and the cost of works. Some municipalities take 50% of the cost of works for the work that's going to be undertaken on private lands and 100% of the cost of works of securities that takes place on municipal lands. For Glens of Antrim, when it was done, we took 100% securities on everything. The subdivision agreement contains the criteria for the drawdown of the securities too. When as works are completed, the engineer can apply to have the securities withdrawn or drawn down. But the securities are not inconsequential. They are actually substantial. In this case, the estimated cost of works is $704,000.15. So it's not inconsequential. But the intention of the securities is to make sure that the work's done as it's supposed to be done. And if it's not done accordingly, then the municipality has the funds they need to go in and fix whatever needs to be done. So really, the application would see the development of 12 lots in a designated settlement area. On municipal road that would, yes, we would have to assume the road, it's been designed appropriately. It's got a cul-de-sac at the end. And we would have 12 new lots in Roseneath. So it complies with all provincial policy, the township's official plan, the county official plan, all of that stuff. And we're now at the point where we need to enter into a subdivision agreement. So the recommendation is that council approve a bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign the subdivision agreement on behalf of the municipality. That's generally how it moves from here. You approve the principle of it, and then you authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the actual agreement. But I believe that Mr. Keene here would like to address council with respect to securities.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Ryan.
Mr. Mayor. Yes, the owner has requested that a consideration be made for 50% securities at this location. And we do certainly respect that. I'll talk a little louder.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. We do respect that municipalities have different security requirements for on-site and for off-site works. Ordinarily, securities is really risk. And I've seen cases where it's been very good that municipalities taking security. So it's a good thing that you do this. The subdivision agreement provides a good mechanism and safety security for the municipality when the securities are related to that. So I simply do endorse the security process, and then the securities of Stanford are going down through a very careful process. And the subdivision agreement is good in that it lays out that process. So I just really want to say that our developer respects the security process. This frequency here is really unusual because it's a rather unusual circumstance. Ordinarily, on-site works in many municipalities is rather standard for about a 50% security deposit. One would build the road, and then after the road has been deemed completely built and all of the efficiencies are corrected, then the road gets transferred over to the municipality. And then the municipality would receive it. So then it would become municipal property. Well, it happens backwards here. The road has been transferred. You as a municipality own that road. And the civil works never were constructed. So the securities for 100% in most municipalities, we would do 100% for offsite works. Offsite is simplified. It's like not the developer land. And the reason for having a larger security amount for offsite works would be because ordinarily when you're working offsite, you're working in a road allowance where there's currently a road and traffic and infrastructure and there's a higher risk. So municipality would be right to take that 100% security for those areas where it represents a higher risk. Here, we would just submit that there's very little risk because there's no infrastructure there yet. The public aren't using this road. And it would really more fall under the typical subdivision process, except for that one caveat that the road has already been transferred to. So what the developer is asking for is your indulgence and consideration to go to 50% securities.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Logal, I just am a little bit to see clarification. What road is already constructed? Are you talking about that, like inside the subdivision proper has not been constructed?
There is no road that's been constructed at this point in time. That's what their engineering submission is for. It's for the construction of that internal road. It then enters onto Schoolhouse Road, which then accesses County Road 45.
Okay, all right. See what you're meaning now.
And if I may, just as a clarification, Mr. Mayor, we often refer to the lands as the road. So it does get confusing sometimes when we talk about the road, and I think it's got a name of Alnwick Avenue and Alnwick Court. The roads exist, but when you go there, you won't see anything because they're not built yet. But the road property is all that exists. So you own the road properties, but there is no actual asphalt and gravel. We did go and get the site cleared in the fall of last year in order to do the geotechnical study. And the geotechnical study helped us to design structure of the road, what sort of thickness of gravel and asphalt would be required.
Through you, Mayor Local, attachment A to the report is the site plan from the engineering submission. And
Okay.
the gray, the sort of the gray road that comes in and Alnwick Avenue and Alnwick Court that has a cul-de-sac, though that is the road that's to be constructed.
Okay.
Mike?
Through your Mayor Logo. So, couple things. For this subdivision, I know like when you mentioned the Glens of Athens down there, before we take over the road, it always seems like that area down there is a bit of a mess. And I don't know if we as council can work with the contractors to make sure that maybe in this spot, it doesn't happen like that. You know, the snow plowing has been an issue down there. And the drainage has been an issue. There's been garbage all around from stuff getting torn off, material and stuff. So I don't know if we could hold a higher standard on that part of it at this point for this development. And I understand the 50% security, but you know, if it was me, I would split the difference and go 75.
Okay. Anybody else got any comments? Go ahead.
Through you, your worship, I don't know, by taking 100% of the cost of works for security, the township will ensure that there are sufficient funds available should they have to complete the work. I don't think the township should be liable for any of this. And my own opinion is that if you're going to be a developer and a builder, if securities are going to be a problem for you, then maybe you shouldn't be in the development business then, because I think it's an insurance for us as the township, and we got to hold them to that, right? They're going to get that money back when they in installments. Is that the way I understand it? When they.
Yes, it's drawn down throughout the construction process.
I don't think we should be leaving the taxpayer at any liability at all. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'm going to read thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you.
I'll read the resolution then. If there's one there. Was that supposed to be read now? Or is it in the bylaws?
There's the recommendation in my report is
Okay. Please read that on.
that council approve the Grade J Development's proposal for the construction of a road on municipal road allowance as designed by Jewel Engineering, allowing for the development of 12 Hamlet residential lots in Roseneath, and further that a bylaw be passed authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign a subdivision agreement on behalf of the municipality. So if you approve this recommendation, then later on in the bylaw section, we have a bylaw that will address this. So you can ask for a.
Mover and a seconder for that proposal. Moved by Councillor Booth, second by Councillor O'Neill.
So
Go
a
ahead.
question, so approving this right now is not talking about the security. It's the bylaw that's coming up afterwards.
You're authorizing, with this recommendation, you're authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign the subdivision agreement. And as it stands right now, the subdivision agreement that is attached to the bylaw identifies 100% securities. That's the subdivision agreement that you would be approving. If you want to alter the security amount, when you pass the bylaw, you can say that you would like 50%, 75%, 100%, if you want to change what's attached. But the bylaw that's attached, or the subdivision agreement that's attached to the bylaw does have 100% securities.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of this then?
Mary Catherine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm not entirely sure that this is a question for tonight, but it's just in general. The housing units intensification, any sort of making the houses attainable, is any of that ever an option for discussion, or is this a heritage thing and the way it is the way it is?
These lots exist as they exist. These lots have already been approved. The M plan has been deposited. The principle of development was established, well, not the principle, the actual development was established in 1980.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to bylaws. And the first one is bylaw number 32023, being a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 19, 2019 as amended. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. As amended of the Township of Allenwood, Haldeman for Linda Constable, concession A, part of lot 18 geographically in Haldeman. Be it resolved the bylaw number 30, 2023, being a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 19, 2019 as amended of the Township of Allenwood, Haldeman for Linda Constable, concession A, part of lot 18 geographically in Haldeman, be read and deemed to be passed this 25th day of April 2023. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Bylaw number 31, 2023, being a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw 19, 2019 as amended of the Township of Allenwood, Haldeman for Danny McBride and Zach McBride, concession 5, part of lot 16 geographically in Haldeman, and be it resolved that the bylaw number 31, 2023, being a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 2019 as amended of the Township of Allenwood, Haldeman for Danny McBride and Zach McBride, concession 5, part of lot 16 geographically in Haldeman, be read and deemed to be passed by council this 25th day of April 2023. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 44, 2023, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of amended subdivision agreement. Be it resolved that bylaw number 44, 2023, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of the amended subdivision agreement be read and deemed to be council decision this 25th day of April 2023. And I think that's what we're talking about, the 50, 75, 100%. Is that correct?
Yes, through you, Mayor Logal. As it stands right now, if you just adopt it as the subdivision agreement is attached to the bylaw, it's 100% securities.
Okay. So that's what we're voting on, that 100%. Mover and a seconder, moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any discussion? Go ahead.
To you, Mayor Logo, to Jennifer, is this something that we do all the time? I know we do it, but do we get 100% all the time?
Through you, Mayor Logal. The only subdivision agreement that the municipalities executed in the past probably 20 years has been Glens of Antrim, and they took 100% for it.
Okay.
We're going to be having, I anticipate, a few more in the coming years with the new Danforth, Danforth 60 and Grafton Heights. So it's something that will be coming forward again, but over the past 20 years, we haven't had much subdivision development here.
Okay, thanks.
Further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Announcements and notices of motion, Deputy Mayor Stover.
Nothing planning related.
Thank you. Councillor Ainsworth,
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Booth,
Nothing planning related.
Councillor Mary Catherine.
Like, we get to very nothing planning related, but the parade has got thumbs up, so.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you. I don't have anything that needs to be brought up tonight neither, so we'll move on to approval of the confirming bylaw. Bylaw number 45, 2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal planning meeting of Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. Be it resolved that the bylaw 45, 2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal planning meeting of Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, be read and deemed to be passed by council this 25th day of April 2023. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Motion's carried. And adjournment, need a motion to adjourn at 8:02 PM. Moving to seconder, moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. And next we'll be going into closed session. Unless you want to take a minute. You don't have to, but
Just
would
like
you
to fill
take-
my
take a
water
minute?
jug.
Okay. And motion to recess and everybody, I guess, we have to leave. Oh, do it? Yeah. Okay. We'll let you know when we're ready. All right. Pardon me?